all got your breath back yet? Because I'm just about, my heart rate's returned to normal after absolute barn burner of game number 1.
Yeah.
Holy hell. I mean, that was an absolutely fantastic series between Rated R and Obey Alliance. Rated R coming into it as the absolute favourites after beating EU's finest last week. The European side of the Gears Pro League has not disappointed so far for what a series that was.
I am almost lost for words. Luckily, I have a few left. But
I mean, it's your job, so I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Imagine if I just went silent.
Please don't. Continue your point.
No. But realistically, what a fantastic way to kick off week 2. We said last week games were fantastic. This week, things already kicking off, and well, hopefully more of that to come.
Yeah, I possibly more of that to come. It's either going to go the same way, where it's going to be a cracking game, or I think we're going to see a one-sided performance from EU's finest here.
So this is the thing, right? Either way, right?
And let's be honest, the predictions are well and truly out the window now.
It is.
Who knows?
Flip that coin. But either way, right? If things go as we predict it to go, we're going to be even across the board, which is fantastic. Right?
We will be, yes.
As in, like, all the teams will have won one, lost one. If things go the opposite way that we believe things will go, we have EU's finest bottom on their own, RDamage leading the way at the top after coming in that last chance qualifier, and well, what more can you ask for?
I mean, who honestly knows what's going on at this point? But we do have EU's finest against RDamage coming up in a second. It will do well to match that series that we just seen, of course.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, let's take a step back from what we just seen in that first series. We don't need to maybe rest on that too much when we base our predictions in the second one.
Sure.
We absolutely think EU's finest can bounce back here, but it's not against easy opposition. We've seen a fantastic performance out of RDamage last week. But now the questions are asked. How good are RDamage? How good is anybody at this point? Nobody really knows. This is really sort of set our predictions completely sideways, because we were basing RDamage's performance against EU's finest off who they were playing last week. So RDamage looked really good against OB, whereas EU's finest didn't look too great. But then what's happened in series number 1 has sort of offset that a little bit. But if we were looking at this objectively from last week, these two teams' performance, EU's finest were not good enough, but Rated R looked really solid. RDamage looked great, so we're expecting a good series. Nonetheless, we probably still think the same.
Yeah, as you said, it's one of those things where everyone has kind of beat each other at the moment. But it's one of those games where if RDamage come out and they slay like they did before, I can see them going away with this. I honestly can. They are currently sat 6 out of the top 6. They're 5 of the top 6 in terms of eliminations across all games so far. They're up there with 4 members in the top 5 for score as well. I mean, it's early doors.
Yeah, you can take this all with a pinch of salt, because that's based on one series.
It is with a big pinch of salt as well. But they did perform last week, and no one can argue about that. And they put up the numbers, and they look fantastic. They were flashy on occurrences, and if they bring that same momentum to this game, and they can continue it on this weekly cadence, then for sure they have a chance.
100%. Let's see if EU's finest can get back into the swing of things. Though last week against Rated R, they just didn't look that great, did they? They didn't look to be back to their old self. It just seemed as if Rated R out EU finest. It's really hard to say. They out EU finest EU's finest. They just sort of played that same sort of game, going in with the aggressive play. But let's have a look at the pick and bans to see how we're going to actually play this one out. Right, so Icebound is gone from EU's finest. No surprises after their performance last week against Rated R on that map. Wasn't great. RDamage will get rid of Vanguard, but then pick Asylum. Exhibit's then going to come in for EU's finest. RDamage looked good on Exhibit last week, so they'll take that. District then goes, as does Bunker, and back to Training Grounds, which EU's finest struggled against Rated R last week. If I'm honest, I don't mind this for RDamage.
Yeah, it looks good.
Based on what we've seen last week.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, they've already ticked off wins on both Exhibit and Asylum, albeit in the opposite order last week. And then at the end there, I mean, EU's finest have taken that district ban off RDamage, which is fair enough, but then it leaves RDamage to choose between Bunker and Training Grounds. Training Grounds, they've already seen EU's finest lose upon. So why not go in there and maybe try and give them 2 losses on that map? Why
100%. I think EU's finest put a lot of stock in the fact that Icebound needed to go after last week. They maybe weren't feeling too confident. Although saying that, I feel as if that's maybe just an air to Rated R looking really good on that map last week, so maybe they've sent themselves right. We didn't feel too comfortable going into that one. Let's change it up, go somewhere else. But in the end, we'll end up with Asylum, Exhibit, and Training Grounds. Pretty standard maps all round. But I said I like that for RDamage. In all honesty, I do quite like those maps for RDamage. I think we'll see good series based on those maps as well. We're going to be getting into it very, very shortly, but I mean, after we've just seen that Series 1, I'm going to ask you for a prediction. But I mean, I'll go with mine. I'll give you a second to think.
No, that's fine.
I'm going to actually stick with the EU's finest because I think that last week we didn't see the performance we're expected of them. We didn't see that level that we have become accustomed to when we watch EU's finest. I think they will be eager to show that they are still the top dogs in Europe. I think they will be quite happy to go into this and say, right, let's just actually play like we know how to. Let's play like the top team we are. Let's play like one of the best 4 teams in the world that we are. They are in that top 4 bracket. They see in their own eyes. A lot of people see them in that bracket as well. They're going to be going up against RDamage. We know that they have had really good success against RDamage in the past. They will take confidence in this matchup. I think they will get back to their level, and I think it'll be too much for RDamage.
Yeah, I mean,
based on, I still actually don't mind the maps for RDamage, but I just think irrelevant of maps. EU's finest on paper, better team.
I hear you on that, and actually, I'm going to agree with you. I was going to say, RDamage, they looked great last week. They slayed
you can say
out. They've looked really good against.
But if EU's finest top level appears, it doesn't matter.
and also, every time we've thought that, we've been wrong. So let's go with the underdog this time around. Underdog, EU's finest. That's not a good saying together, is it?
You said
it's
it.
A difficult one.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, technically they are coming in as that lower seed.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go with EU's finest on this one. But yeah, I mean, I'll say 2-0. But
I think that previous series has boiled our brains a little bit. I think. Let's find out how both these two teams are actually going to win this game. Let's have a look at the keys to victory for both these two teams. EU's finest, find their form. That's what we've already said. We said if they can find their form, this is pretty much, I don't want to say it's done and dusted, but you would expect them to come out as winners. We expect that form to be hit. If they do, you do expect them to do well. And for RDamage, break the curse. They have notoriously not been very good against the EU's finest.
This is it, right? This is like the El Clasico of European gears. It is RDamage against EU's finest, and they do clash often. They usually meet at the upper echelons of any tournament bracket, and fundamentally, historically, it is EU's finest that do find that win, that do come out on top. So to come through RDamage, they got to break that curse. They've got to find their way to win against EU's finest.
The final one is for RDamage. Continue slaying. I think it's going to be difficult against EU's finest, but last week, as you said, you pointed out the stats. Although I said we take them with a pinch of salt based on one series. 4 of the top 5 slayers on their team.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic performance by RDamage last week. Physics leading the way in terms of eliminations across the whole week. 78 eliminations there. Obviously, this week we've seen the likes of Obega into those 60s just in one map. So
it's quite a lot.
Yeah. Like it is only one week's worth of stats. Yes. But if they continue slaying out like they did last time, and the thing is, with eliminations being the category this time rather than kills, it is counting those team fights as well, right? They are shooting for each other and they are picking up eliminations across the board. Because there's so many of them in that top 6, that reads to me like they're shooting for each other very, very well, or at least were last week. So if they can continue that form, yes, perhaps they can come here and take a win.
A lot more for RDamage to do, though, is what we feel. I think, as I said, if EU's finest find their form, we know that they can be a solid team. They can walk away as victors in this one. Relatively simply, relatively comfortably, we feel. But let's have a look at the maps that we are indeed going to be playing. It will be Asylum, then Exhibit, and if we need it, Training Grounds. As said, we didn't actually mind these picks for RDamage. However, I think, anybody going up against the EU's finest, you feel as if their backs are against the wall immediately.
Yeah, it's going to be, for me, I am loving this bridge fight for EU's finest, because that, for me, is their bread and butter, when they can work together as a unit in that close quarters fight and really force a fight on their terms. That is what they were known for in Gears 4. We mentioned it last week, dropping the boom shot on Dam and just getting in there 4v4, 5v5. That is where their bread and butter is. That, to me, is going to be interesting for EU's finest, but overall, RDamage looked excellent on these maps last week.
It did indeed. As we load into Asylum for game number 2, the EU Pro League here. Very, very excited to see this one as we move into Asylum. As you see on the stats on your screen, RDamage, of course, they played this one last week. We didn't see EU's finest on Asylum, so it's hard to base any stats on them if I haven't seen them yet. But if RDamage, they played 1-1-1, so they will take confidence from that one. I am going to go with an EU's finest 2-0 here, though. I just think we're going to see the form that we expect to see out of these guys, and if we do see that, I just don't know if RDamage can compete in that realm. I think there's certainly levels to this, and I'm not taking anything away from RDamage. They played very, very well last week. It's just a question of if EU's Finest can find the vault. If they can't, they're going to be in trouble here because RDamage are a very, very solid squad. But EU's Finest very much expected to dominate this EU Pro League. I've done everything but so far, albeit we are on week number 2. There's plenty of time left, plenty of games to be played as we head over towards Asylum.
Yeah, let's have a look how it is going to kick off. Looks like a little bit of an advantage down at the bottom for RDamage as they send 3 members down to the tracks. That said, though, looks like Cougars, he's going to pick up 2 downs. He's behind them, actually. He jumped in from that pavilion jump over, and that's what we expect from RDamage. Read the map well, take the fight. That said, though, EU's Finest, they reply. They get a couple of kills, and now Phelpsy, he's on this angle, trying to find that Lancer onto Physics. Got RDamage just stuck in a bit of a hard place here. Phelpsy's so red, but still pushing aggressively. Physics comes out on top there. Does get taken down by Crazed. Strikers trying to make the best of a pretty bad situation here. Does manage to keep himself alive. Zorkos there helping him out as well. And, well, there's just people everywhere. Hydron, he's hiding around the corner.
And ultimately, it actually just comes down to EU's Finest winning this initial in the end. It took a while to get that. But these first few kills just about go in their favour. I say that, albeit momentarily, as RDamage tried to come back. They do try to decap B, but if you're RDamage, you really don't have a lot of points on the board. 23 so far. There's possibility of a domination coming through here. It's looking like it will. A really, really, really nice start from EU's Finest in the end. And I think it's all about, you know, that mid-fight. We see Cougars pick up 2. And yet they still win it. So for EU's Finest point of view, they are well composed there. They sit back where they need to. They get aggressive. They make the kills when they need to. Even in the face of adversity in round number 1 there. But they're going to take it with the domination coming through. Of course, the respawn time is very, very high. So it makes that first round, albeit a little bit easier, to get that domination come through on. And they will take round number 1.
What that does mean is that they do get the first weapon placement. They are going to place that flashbang up on that east wing side. They'll be able to pick that up going into this opening fight. Whoever goes to that sea hill most likely going to pick that one up, and then we'll just rotate it into the pavilion. Stick on that X-ray camera so we can see what's going on there from both teams. We'll follow Jack Fex in as he's the first man in. Great Lancer fire there from the likes of RDamage.
It's the first one down. But it has actually given RDamage some control here, due to the fact that, I mean, the EU's Finest have to run in there, get your boy up. They have to back on down, but they're quite happy to do so as Craze does find one now, gets aggressive over towards B. It's just a tug-of-war in the middle of the map here. It seems as if EU's Finest are going to lock down B here, and they just about will do so. RDamage, though, should be able to try and make a push back in here. Jackvex and Craze, though, getting work done over towards B.
They should, but the thing they're going to watch out for here is the trains are going to come in. That may leave a 2v1 in the favour of EU's Finest. No, it looks like, I think that Striker's over in the background. He runs over very, very quickly to support Physics there. And if he hadn't, we may have seen Hydron and Craze try and push that 1v2 in the 10 seconds or so we had. Just when the train was running across the track. Doesn't matter though, speaking hypotheticals, it didn't happen. Both teams just kind of posturing in this middle area. Strikers goes down.
Fish in a barrel at that point. Gears players in the middle of the map, either way. Same sort of thing. Reading out is going to go around and pick up Strikers. A bit of a slow one here, but EU's Finest quite happy to grind this one out. The control has been solid, to be honest with you. RDamage haven't really threatened. In all honesty, it's been hard for them to make a push over towards B. Eventually, they will just about get there and they will secure it. So the win condition will go over to them in just a little while, but plenty of time left to be played. EU's Finest roll. They give up control of B. They still have the lives well and truly in their advantage to a point. They haven't dropped anybody, albeit they lose B. They still have everybody up here. They still have position when they can make this push over towards B. Hydro now just trying to get this one. Does get the kill. A few kills going in at EU's Finest. And that's the thing. RDamage, yes, for all that, yes, they get a hold of B. They don't kill anybody to get there. Everybody from EU's Finest backs up. They re-attack from that position. And as a unit, they are so hard to beat down. Cog team now do have the win condition. That's EU's Finest. 35 seconds, they'll win round 2.
Not long at all. And yeah, just going back on your point, they swung around, forced Cougars off that bridge, and what that did just meant that they could move up in this middle area, take control of mid, and from there it was an easy retake. You see Cougars just trying to hold the under bridge here. He's got a good Lancer angle straight down to the B, but there is no one to shoot at, and whilst his team don't have control, it's not particularly a fantastic position. You can't really support anyone.
That's it. Like, what's he doing from there?
Nothing much, really.
Oh, it's a lovely little angle, but you're going to lose the round in 10 seconds. So, EU's finest should walk away as winners of this one, albeit a miracle for RDamage. The elimination comes through. Well, I think the timer came through just before the elimination there, but it was albeit an elimination. Round 2-0 now to EU's finest. Grinding these ones out. Let's be honest, well, the second one anyway. The first one was a lot more convincing. But a solid start from EU's finest. This is what you love to see if you're an EU's finest fan. But look at those eliminations.
And that's what
That's one-sided.
It is super one-sided already, and that's kind of worrying if you're RDamage right now.
Yeah.
Your top Slayer at the moment, Cougars, he's got 3 eliminations over 2 rounds, and on the other side, you've got Hydron sitting up there on 11, Crazed on 10, and yes, that is them shooting for one another as well, but the deaths column is where we are really pointing our fingers at here. 1 death across the board. Crazed hasn't even died yet, whereas 3-4 on pretty much everyone there on RDamage.
Just can't really get... It's the Lancerfire. As you said, those eliminations come through just basically for damage with Lancerfire. It's been much better on the side of EU's finest. Now we get down and dirty in the middle of the map, though. Physics is just about going to get the kill on the Craze. That's the first time he's going to go down. Physics able to clean up onto Jackfex as well after Rita helped him out. And now it's up to Hydron to try and stay alive, if anything. Oh my god, that is filth. It's before the watershed, mate. You can't be pulling that sort of stuff off. We're a friendly family show. Friendly family. Same thing. Either way, Hydron smoking members of RDamage in and around B. And will get a hold of that site in the end with the help from his teammates.
Oh, Rita just got crushed by the train.
Oh, that is tough.
You don't like to see it as a player, but as a fan, it's always interesting.
Here we go. This is something to work on though for Strikers and Co. Though it may be without Rita, who was one of the standouts last week for RDamage. But he was still get it done.
He was playing this tracks area extraordinarily, taking 1v3s, every other round. And
I remember them.
Yeah, we posted a couple on Twitter as well, but they were honestly fantastic 1v3s. He played them extremely well, and well, he didn't get run over the train last week, but it never helps when you get a many-ton object flying through you.
How many tons do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a long train.
Many. That's what he said. Yeah.
This is why I didn't go for a number.
It's quite a long train, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a...
It's a massive train, actually.
Train weight specialist.
You're not?
No, funnily enough, I'm not.
I thought that's what we hired you for. Strikers now playing time in the middle of the map. They have the B set up. They're trying to be the EU's finest at their own game here. 57 seconds or so for the win condition to come through, and you just feel as if it's going to be a flick of a switch from EU's finest, and they will make their move. Plenty of time to do that. Plenty of time to download the information, assess their opponents, see where they are. See the crossfire coming in from Strikers. You feel as if he might be the first one to go here, if anybody. He's in an aggressive position, but here comes the push down track side. Jackfex is trying to get something done in mid, but it has come through. Hydron and Phelpsy have moved through, but I tell you what, though, Cougar's in a really bad spot. He's been dropped down, but
he has been dropped down, but the thing is,
they can't push it.
They can't push him until these trains go. So just give RDamage a couple of seconds to get in position to find that pick. They find the pick on Jack. He was hiding out under the middle of the pavilion. And now they're making him push over. This is where Strikers, he's making his money earned here. Trying to get this decap on A. Will still win at this situation right now. Let's jump on board with him. Let's have a look from his point of view as he 1v2s for this A hill. Trying to fight his way around. Just get a nice shot off, but in the end, doesn't matter. They're going to leave him down because they have to get the decap on C if they're going to win. Not sure they're going to be able to. Rita trying his best to perform once again. And yes, here he goes with Zorkos. Does manage to keep hold of his hill. RDamage going to lock in their first round.
And RDamage do enough. We talked about how EU's finest, they had time to decipher what they wanted to do. But in that time, that score is ticking up. It's ticking up. It's ticking up for RDamage. And they will take a round. In the end, it's just too much for EU's finest to do in too little time. 2-1 now, so RDamage do get on the board. Nice round from them. In the end, just held control. And as I said through the round, they just beat EU's finest at their own game there. They just held down the Lancerfire where they needed to. Yes, they did lose B eventually, but they rotated nicely. They had resources at other areas of the map where they could get something done. RDamage getting on the board, so making a game of it here. 2-1 EU's finest now. Drop shots now coming through as expected.
Surprise. Yep, that's it.
No surprise at all. So now it's going to come down to the teams utilising these power weapons as best they can. Phelpsy on the side of things of EU's finest, and Rita for RDamage.
Pretty much a mirror match here in terms of setup. You can see there both teams, one on bridge, one underneath bridge, one on pavilion. one high side tracks, one middle tracks, and all players just kind of figuring each other out. They'll be calling, they'll be spotting, trying to work out where they can play, and it'll be the drop shots most likely that this play comes from. They'll make a push, they'll use the drop shot to try and clean up the kill, and from there things will, well, they'll commence, right, as the teams carry on.
And I think that's why Reda's probably dropped back from physics there. I mean, they were holding hands.
Yep.
And a big fat drop shot comes through, and you're both very, very dead.
Phelpsy has the drop shot over on that cog side. So he is finest there on cog. RDamage on the swarm side. And you're right, Phelpsy, he is over at the bridge side, but I'm not sure if RDamage know. That said, though, RDamage ever so slightly ahead here, like milliseconds ahead. But you see their points are ticking up. This means that they can sit here, right? They can absorb time, the pressure.
I'd be very surprised if it came.
They're not going to sit there forever.
No.
It is on EU's finest to make that play, even at such a small time window. That's how it plays out.
And I think they're just trying to spot.
Great drop shot there.
Oh, okay, the drop shot comes through. Hydron will go down, so that might actually allow RDamage to make the push. But it wouldn't surprise me to actually see Phelpsy make a move over here.
Got another fight on the C hill actually as
well.
well.
The swarm domination is going to come through in a second if they're not careful. Phelpsy has to get rid of Zorkos inside the B, and eventually will do so with the help of his teammates, so they will stop that from coming through just about anyway. But they have lost B. They don't have control of A. They don't have control of absolutely of anything here, but they made a big push over towards A. They know they've got people coming up off spawn over towards C. If they can capture A, they're in a good spot to hold these both home hills. And I do believe Phelpsy still has that drop shot available as well.
We'll soon find out.
Didn't hear it come in.
He's not showing it just yet.
Crimson's is down, but he should get picked up immediately by Phelpsy. Problem is here is that EU's finest can't actually get on the point because RDamage have set up around it. They're like a vice just closing in. Grace is going to find one at Narita though. Gets him down. It's a good move by Cougars. Inside is going to find the second. Not quite. Jackvex is going to down him, but Strikers is there to clean up shop. While that's all been going on though, B has been conceded.
B has been conceded, but they are very, very quick. Much like EU's finest in the fight before. Forgetting about the home hill cap. Someone off spawn can grab that. C hill. That is going to be their target. Phelpsy picked up, once again, the drop shot.
Strikers doesn't have a lot of help here though. And if these gunfights go over towards EU's finest, over towards B, C should be an easy enough capture. EU's finest now should be in control, should be in the win condition if they do get a hold of C. They haven't managed to push Strikers out yet. They really do need to get rid of him. It'd be very annoying in and around C. They will eventually find him. Phelpsy is going to find 2 as well. So EU's finest back in control of this one. They will win within 40 seconds. It's very close though.
It's a second difference basically. It's so close. One decap here will swing it around. You see there actually, that's the decap coming in. This one will win in just 30 seconds. Physics doing his best.
So weak.
Yeah, he kind of need a little bit more backup, a little bit quicker there, but you see, as I said, it was a second difference this time. Even with that double cap, Swarm will still win.
The kills are all going in favor of EU's finest. Strikers is going to have to go massive here. It's not going to be enough. EU's finest. What a fantastic round out of them in the end. They just execute when they needed to there, didn't they? I think, they kept it within touching distance. They were in control. And then it comes down to kills. If they don't make those kills, RDamage win the round.
And you got to go back all the way back, and we were calling out Strikers for being a nuisance, but in the end, it was that kill that snowballed that entire end sequence. Basically, they got the kill on Strikers. They were then allowed to roam up bridge. They managed to find kills all across the map, and eventually they just strangled RDamage out. Even though RDamage had that points difference, the fight on tracks, it had to happen because RDamage, they needed any break whatsoever. But well, in the end, they got clutched up on. EU's finest coming out, even with a few seconds left there before they got dominated, or before they got pointed out, basically. What's the word for that?
They pointed out?
Pointed out. It's domination, elimination, pointination.
Pointed out. I think we're sticking with pointed out.
We need a word for that one. Someone come up with that.
Pointed out, mate. That's it.
Pointed out.
Chris now setting up towards B with Jackvex. Phelpsy is here as well, and it's that typical tug of war in and around B. It's like, oh, I'm going to jump on. Can we find the kills? Maybe yes, maybe not. Grace, though, is going to make the push with these flashes, and Physics is surely going to be dead pretty soon. Oh, hellish. Drop shot comes through. Rita is just going to back on up Jack Vex, as does he with Crazed, and here comes Strikers flying through. Phelpsy and Crazed going down. Nicely done from RDamage, utilizing that drop shot well. No, the sad thing is it's not going to be available for EU's finest, so that one is gone. Really nice play out of RDamage.
Oh. Strikers there, trying to bait the shot out basically, but didn't do it all too successfully, as everyone saw. Hydrone, very difficult to kill Hydrone on those wall fights, to be quite honest with you. This is bread and butter. He knows what he's doing.
Rita likes this spot in and around the tracks. He's had a lot of luck actually picking up multiple kills around this area. This time round up, he's going to manage to stay alive, but his team have found one. And it's going to be traded away. Phelpsy getting aggressive. Is he going to find a second here? Not quite. Zorkos should be able to clean this one up if Zorkos does not. Plenty of bodies here for EU's finest, though. They have to make this work. I feel as if a couple of kills going in RDamage's favour here will be influential. Jack Vex finds two, though. Good work by him. Then the push round towards C will be initiated from from EU's finest, I should say, here. Hydrone's going to take down Physics. This is looking like another EU's finest round. Strikers has to go big here. He's just going to back up. But look at everybody from EU's finest inside the hill. Going to be so difficult for RDamage to get anything done here. The domination should indeed come through as Crimson's finds two. Really nice work by EU's finest in that round. And I think it's like when you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yes.
Every single time. It's like one gunfight goes in their favor, they move. They find the second. They have numbers. They make a move now towards the home hill. They find the kills. And it's just an inevitability at that point. EU's finest now fold one up.
I think as well, we maybe have to call attention there to some of the RDamage plays. I don't think it was the cleanest that they could have possibly played that. Cougar's in that situation. He went out to pick up his teammate when he went down in the middle of 4 people there. That's basically sacrificing yourself, right? I mean, even if you get your teammate up, you have a member of EU's finest on every angle. You're not getting out of there alive. Maybe he recognizes that a bit earlier next time. Maybe he gets himself out of that situation, and then they have a 3v4 at the end of the things rather than 2v4. Also, Rita with the drop shot didn't particularly make that count.
Yeah.
And if he gets a kill there, there is that potential once again to clutch up. And
it's all just swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's the thing. It comes down to small differences, then being snowballed into big differences.
Yes.
I think it's about taking the advantages where you need to, and EU's finest do that so well. They put themselves in a position to try and take advantage, and the majority of the time, they do take it. Crazed now just trying to get things a little bit crazy in mid-map here. Striker's going to have to fight his way out. Crazed is going to find him, though. The trade just about going in EU's finest favour. Hydron's going to find Physics as well. Hog will eliminate here in the final round of the half. 5-1 is the lead for EU's finest as we do go into that half, and they will be more than happy in the manner that they found themselves here. 5-1 up. Pretty convincing. I mean, look at the deaths. Look at the difference here. It's massive. It's massive.
It is. I mean, it's kind of disappointing on RDamage's side of things here. I mean, at the moment, the trend across the whole league, the European League, is about 2-1 in terms of eliminations to deaths, right? It's thereabouts. You got Physics there sitting 6-10. That's
these are eliminations as well, bearing
exactly.
in mind it's not just like flat out kills.
This is assists, this is eliminations, this is kills, right? It's everything combined. That's something you've got to be looking at as maybe a potential area for improvement. Maybe, you know, not in this map, but going into the second map, is trying to get Physics on board, trying to get him online and killing again, because he was that person leading the fight last time. And yeah, he was looking pretty good.
A lot of action going down towards these. Hydron does make that initial kill. Bit of a stalemate over towards the tracks. Zorkos now trying to get something done. As EU's finest now going to take control up top bridge. They're forcing the issue as well. We said they just take the advantages where they need to. It's going to have to be a massive task out of Zorkos to slow this one down. Now Cougar's in a horrible spot, taking fire from each and every angle. Rita going to be able to do very, very little. It actually wouldn't surprise me if RDamage even like waste their spawns here. This one should be over, really.
We've seen RDamage. We've seen EU's finest do this before, actually. Not capping this. If they notice the opposition are making that mistake of respawning in a lost round, they will not cap that final hill, and they will wait, and they will take those eliminations, especially in the second half. We have seen it before. It's something they were doing way back when you know, E-League was a thing, and we were looking at pre-launch. They were doing that, and now, well, it doesn't seem to be as occurrent right now.
No,
but it's something
it's
that
a
they
factor.
have done.
It's
yeah,
a factor.
Exactly.
It's absolutely a factor. So playing this one well are EU's finest, and we're in a very different game to series number 1 here. For all that series number 1 was close, it was tight. It was coming down to the smallest of margins. EU's finest at taking small advantages and then just rolling them into massive ones every single time. They are not making a step wrong. I'm not taking a wrong step, I should say. Words are hard. Physics now needs to get something going here. 7 and 12 out of him, and these are just eliminations, as said. Flash comes through, gets aggressive. Is it going to work out, though? EU's finest are quite happy to just sort of sit back and pick them off. Your teammates are dying, and min-map, you're dropped in and around east side of things over towards bridge. He is going to escape, but that's just going to allow EU's finest to gain some sort of control. Physics now probably going to get closed in. They have to be so careful. When you lose tracks control, you can just be flanked instantly as well. It's such a hard spot to be in. Look at the crossfire coming in from Crazed and Hydron. It's just putting them in such a tough spot. They have to concede E and back on up.
And that was just a change in strategy from EU's finest, and I really like that. That's Rubik's influence in that coach position, just understanding how the map is playing. He's having a look at that. I mean, it may have been called by the players, but what I'm saying is that is the coaching influence. They're understanding how the game is being played. They are going into the round thinking, okay, how can we make our advantage bigger? How can we look at this and go, okay, let's play it safer? And in this scenario, they just took that loop. They isolated a player who was on his own at tracks, and from there you get all the cross in the world. You know the opposition are going to push up into this E hill if they have that 2v1 advantage, as we saw. And here we go.
Yeah, big fight going to go on here. It's going to come down, the Lancer Fire coming through, and they baited RDamage into a push yet. Crimson's putting plenty of fire down, but nobody really able to break the deadlock. Zorka's going to find one, but he is going to be in a bad spot. He's going to take a big chunk from Crimson's here. Looks like RDamage are actually going to be the one to force him away here.
Yep.
Nicely done. And they take no casualties either. Really well done by RDamage. They take control of E. They have control of their own home hill, of course. And they do it without losing really anything.
Great crossfire here as well. Physics should have been able to clean up that down there. Just wasn't able to get the final shots. Over on the other side, though, Hydron, he's won his 1v1, and this is the home player coming on in.
And then that's now going to bait resources to come over from RDamage. They should be able to find Hydron unless he can work some magic here. He does actually have a little bit of support coming up there now. Crazed is not going to be there in time, though. He's not, surely not. He does find one. Does get taken down the second go of things, though, but here we go. This is a big play out of EU's finest. They have to get something done here at E. RDamage are happy to back on up because they know they're in a good spot if they can get this back quickly. Oh, looking for them, pushing forward. Jackflex has to get the hell out of dodge. Is dropped and is killed. Kugas pushes on through. EU's finest after now back up. And it's just about that game of what's it? What is it?
Tug of War?
That's the one. I'm making the action. Everybody's laughing at me. It's that game of Tug of War that they're doing in the mid-map. And in the end, it just comes down to RDamage winning this one, and it might just be too little too late for EU's finest. It feels like they haven't put all their eggs in one basket in this round, and it's hurt them.
Yes, yeah, I mean, they didn't win that fight up top. They did allow RDamage to get control of this,
Say what, though?
this middle doorway, this entranceway. That said, yeah, they're making a bit of a comeback in these final seconds. Strikers is going to fall. Are they going to get this elimination victory?
Oh, RDamage, no. Oh, they're in such a bad spot. Cog are going to dominate in 3 seconds. This is such a big gunfight for 6 to win. He will break it. I don't know if it's going to be enough. And for all that RDamage dominate the round, it does not matter. EU's finest just turn it on when they need to every single time, and we'll take map number 1, 7-1. And that is a dagger to the hearts of RDamage. EU's finest. That is more like it.
Yeah, that's much more like it. That is the EU's finest that we've seen over the years.
Terrifying.
Just, yeah, terrifying, terrorizing the opposing team. And, I mean, the scoreboard said everything at the end there. So many more eliminations, so fewer deaths, and well,
just better on every single point.
Yes, yeah. And that is what we wanted to see from them.
Yeah,
that is what we wanted last week. I mean, well, we say wanted. We wanted to see a good game last week.
Yeah.
We wanted to see them come back on form this week, and that is exactly the EU's finest. That, well, we've just seen it. They dominate RDamage in that first map.
Yeah, and I want to say it was a good performance from EU's finest, but I want to say it felt poor from RDamage.
Yep.
It comes down to basically slaying. I don't think they necessarily did too much wrong on the way they moved around the map, the way they controlled the map. It felt like, you know, they were doing the right things at times, but if you don't win your gunfights, you don't win. Don't miss, don't lose.
Yeah, that's it, right? I mean, if you don't get the kills and you're getting slayed out, then you're probably not.
You can only out-rotate so much.
Yes,
you can only out-rotate with all your members alive, which is very hard to do when you use Finest to run it through you.
Yep, yeah, and a lot of the time as well, they were getting down in the middle of the map quite often, and what that did, it just baited the entire of RDamage into that middle, and well, EU's Finest set up around it. They get the kills, and they are very, very good at that, positioning themselves to get the angle on all fronts.
Yeah.
And we saw it. It's even brought into their strategy somewhat in the latter rounds there, where we saw them just opt to ignore that neutral hill, get control of that middle map line first, and then start to strangle out RDamage. That for me is good gears, right? That's looking at a situation and just making the best of it, and that's what EU's Finest do.
They did it every single round pretty much. -1. They did take that one 7-1. Let's look at the rest of the maps that we do have to play. Of course, Asylum going over towards EU's Finest. We're going to go over towards Exhibit. RDamage looked good on this map though last week, I will say. I did like what I seen from RDamage last week, albeit it felt like they played a lot better than they did in map number 1 there last week. So if they can bring that sort of level, then maybe we've got a good game on our hands. But if EU's Finest continue to play the way they did, Exhibit is going to be very, very tough for RDamage. But let's be honest, it's a very different map. But if I'm honest, it feels like a bit more of an EU's Finest map. Albeit we did see RDamage take it last week up against Obey.
Yeah.
These close quarters, big team fights in the mid map.
We did see it. We did see it, but there was a difference last week, and that was those power weapon uses, and they're not going to get that luxury this time, right? They were making a good situation out of Obey missing a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get that luxury this time at all. They are going to go in, they're going to get hit by drop shots, they're going to get hit by boom shots, and they're going to get hit hard. And it's now that we ask that question of RDamage, can you still win those fights on an even playing field? First map says no. Exhibit, a bit of a different map. Let's see. I don't know. I'm still asking that question myself.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out the answer to that very, very shortly as we do load in just a second. But going back to our keys of victory for these two teams. One of them's been hit. EU's Finest. Finding their form. It seems like they've hit it. If they can still play the way that they did in that first map, then there's no way that RDamage win this. I don't see, unless RDamage can find that sprinkle of magic that we did see from them occasionally last week.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just don't think they got it in their arsenal after what we see in map number 1. I know you could just only take a series map by map. However, in the fashion that EU's Finest won that one, it's hard to predict otherwise.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict that they don't win this map.
It is. I don't think anyone realistically would predict that RDamage come back and win this map after seeing that, right? If that's your only bit of data to go on.
Yeah.
The other keys to victory that we saw, break the curse. They haven't done that yet. So
there's time for that.
There is time, but it looked like that same old story, right? RDamage play fantastic against everyone else. Doesn't matter who it is, they look great. And then they play EU's Finest, and then they look average at best, right?
Yeah.
And that is difficult when you have that mental block against one team to overcome that, especially when that team is one of the only 4 in the same league as you.
Yeah.
It's something you've got to work on.
It's a big stickler to have, isn't it? Because
then
you look at the rest of your games, you're like, well, we'll have to win all of these because we're certainly not going to win the ones against the EU's Finest if they keep playing the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe as time goes on, they start playing them more here in the Gears Pro League, then possibly they start to decipher the puzzle that the EU's Finest clearly are for RDamage. But as we do load into map number 2, it is going to be Asylum. I'm excited for this one. Let's see. Can RDamage get... Look, 100% win condition here. They've won every single time they played it. Albeit once. I mean, RDamage will take the stats into this one. Will they still have that same stat after this one?
Time will tell,
I
guess.
I don't think so, Brew.
They definitely won't have the rounds won at 70%. That's something I'm pretty confident about.
Okay, that's fair.
I feel like it's going to be a lot closer if they can come back into this.
That's fair. Well, let's get into it, and then let's see how RDamage are going to play this one. It is going to be EU's Finest on the Swarm side of things. In red, of course. RDamage in blue on the Cog side. JackFX getting aggressive towards Aquarium side of these lower corridors. And it's going to be a lot about this top fight as well. I think we speak about it a lot. It's all about the flank. If you get that top bridge control, you can then start flanking around your opponent, making things a lot more difficult to keep a hold of B. But it is going to be initially RDamage in control of B.
Yep, they've done alright, but Phelpsy, he has got that opening kill there on Strikers. That is going to be a bit of an issue. Zorkos, he did get the down, but I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to get the kill. No, he's not. Jack did have some help there, and this...
And that's probably the round.
Yeah, exactly. This central hill has gone very, very quickly in his finest favor. Reader upstairs. He's going to get 2v1. They're going to kill him off. That's for sure. Strikers is off spawn. Whether for much longer, I'm not too sure. Does get taken out. Physics gets one. Looks for a second. Gets taken out by Hydrone. Zorkos back off spawn now.
They've just got the numbers here. EU's finest. They should be able to clean this one up. The kill's going in their favor. Zorkos, the last man alive for RDamage. They spawn in. They can't do anything. EU's finest once again dominate round number 1. And that's one of those where it just comes down to that couple of gunfights. You lose 2, and suddenly EU's finest do not let you take a step forward once more. You don't want to take a step forward, but even if you're taking a step back to try and retreat, to try and keep your life, EU's finest are on top of you instantly. 1-0. Good round of them once again. Flashbangs are going to come in inevitably as expected. But yeah, that's a tough one for RDamage. It's maybe feels like deja vu in map number 1.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, Zorkos did well. He held off Jack in that opening fight, and I like that. But what he didn't really do is make an advantage of that situation.
Yeah.
He just held the alleyway, just made sure Jack couldn't come back down there, but Jack had rotated. Jack was helping his teammates out over at that B-Hill fight. And from there, they managed to get that kill on Strikers. They managed to get that, snowball through the B-Hill, and Zorkos made that little mistake of pushing up 2 players as well. Pretty much everything went in the EU's finest favor.
There we go. Can they get something going? There we go. Oh, no, sorry. That's actually...
We've switched sides.
We've switched sides, haven't we? I was thinking, yeah, they're getting something going here, but it just seems to be that same old story.
It does. Let's jump on the B-Hill.
Not a lot going on here. EU's finest just about in control, and I think Reader really needs to keep a hold of up top here. They lose that, then suddenly every single angle is being pushed. Cougars is now dead as well. Strikers trying to get something done. He's going to find Hydrone, and we need to see a little bit more magic out of Strikers, out of Cougars. But once again, it is just going to be the EU's finest show.
It is, but I mean, physics there. He knew he was flashed, but he kept walking towards Jack, and it's little micro plays like that's the catalyst to these dominations, these eliminations. If you know you can't shoot someone, don't carry on walking towards them, right? Play your health, play your life, be a bit more careful in those situations.
You would think it makes sense, but I mean, RDamage are just about going to survive here unless Phelpsy can make some magic happen, which wouldn't surprise me. But either way, physics is going to take him down, and eventually RDamage look like they may get a foothold in this round.
True.
They should be able to make this push over towards B, but they really haven't got that aggressive. They eventually do. It's going to be Reader inside the point, and he should be able to capture that. Hydrone waiting for a push towards his home hill.
Yeah, let's track him down here, see what he's going to do.
Actually, sorry, that's towards the RDamage home hill. He's expecting the push up top from Strikers. Nobody up here from RDamage. He's going to try and catch him with his pants down here. Strikers not making that push. I think he knows.
Well, he expects it, right?
Yeah. He knows he can't just walk up there without any information. That's what he would be doing, so he's just going to help out down low. But then what you're probably going to see is a flank coming in from Hydro, and I'd imagine he's probably going to push towards C if he needs to, or is he just going to quietly hold this one?
He really is biding his time up here. Maybe he's changing his back.
His team have lost the gunfights down low.
The thing is, he's going to wait until
a couple of gunfights go in their favor.
Yeah.
I think it's just trusting your teammates at this point.
He knows that his teammates are going to come off this spawn, and their home hill is not getting pressured. So that's one thing, right? He knows. If then that pressure does come in, that's when he goes, right? That's when he flies over. EU's finest, they're still going to win at this point. They were still going to win at the point at which Hydrone was sat up there. And still, I mean, he's still kind of hanging out up here.
But he's then just limiting RDamage's routes back into this game because they can't flag behind because they know he's there, but they don't know exactly where he is, so they can't make the push.
He got that decap, right? So now they definitely know he is here. That is beautiful.
I mean, it's just... We didn't see any of this last week from EU's finest, but when they turn it on, there is really...
It's clean, right?
It's so lovely. Clean. It's just such good gears. 2-0 now to EU's finest.
But all it took there was... Hydrone was just waiting for his team to just say, okay, please get that decap. Our home hill is under a little bit of pressure. It's not, okay, we're going to lose the round pressure.
Yeah.
But there's potential here that we could lose our home. So this is where you go get that decap, because then that thought is in the back of our damage.
It's having that contingency plan, isn't it?
Like,
it's sitting back up there and it's like, right, well, if it does hit the fan here, I'm in a spot to potentially do something to just try and slow down our damage, but in the end, EU's finest get it done in the same old fashion. They grind it out, they wait for our damage to make an engagement, they win those engagements, EU's finest. And our damage just really can't get anything going in this series, never mind this map, never mind last map. The series as a whole, they have been beaten from pillar to post. And will it continue, or can they find something to help them get back into this game? Cougar's now down low, 2 eliminations to 4 deaths, and he's a player you look at that needs to be that guy. He needs to be that guy for our damage to try and do something, try and have that little spark to maybe get them back into this game. And could it start here? Physics are going to take down Phelps with the help of Cougars, of course. Here comes the push, though. It's not going to be good enough. Really good work by Physics and Cougars working well together. They will hold B. Jackvex really probably needs to stay alive. Does so, finds Zorkost before he does indeed engage again. Making the push all on his own. Jack getting really aggressive against a couple of members, and that was never really a winnable gunfight. That's probably the first step out from EU's finest we've seen, but in a comfortable position. You know, it gets to this point when, you know, you feel as if you're dominating so much, the confidence is flowing, and you start flying at gunfights that you probably won't win.
Yep. And I mean, even if he trades 1 for 1 there, right, then perhaps that's the
11 and 1 there.
11 and 1.
I think it was
13 and 3
out of Crimson's. Yep. 11 and 1, albeit just eliminations, as said, but it's just it's a dominating slaying performance so far from EU's finest. They are behind in this round, though. We will not count our damage out. They're going around last map. Can they do it again?
We'll find out, I guess. They do have a crazed up top, though. This is somewhat of a problem.
But the problem is, on the other side of things, there's somebody up here for our damage. Oh, no, there's not. So Hydrone and crazed up top. They're going to try and make this push. And I believe they'll probably try and coordinate this. Is there anybody watching it? Far damage. Yes, there is. There's one player at the back there. Oh no. Here we go. Physics is going to take. He has made a bit of a mistake, and here comes Physics. He can now push. Just tighten that grip around B. It's going to come down this push up top, you feel?
Yeah, I mean, if they can make their way over, even if they can get the launch at the back, then perhaps they can make a little bit of a play of that. They will lose in about 13 seconds, though, if they're not careful. We see Jax out on the B hill. And now Hydra, and he's going to push towards the A hill. Zorkost takes a big fight here, but he has got Crazed behind him. Cog, well, they will win in 15 seconds, but not if they don't have a hill.
Tell you what, that's a big gunfight for Crazed to win as well. Swarm still have 110 seconds to have the win condition, but the domination might come through. It is going to be denied, and this should still be enough. It will be enough for our damage to win off 1 cap. Strikers with a big gunfight against Crazed. Now they're just going to sit back. The time has ticked down far too long for EU's finest to possibly win this round unless a little bit of magic can happen. Zorkost will shut that down. Cog will eliminate, and EU's finest do bleed on exhibit here. Our damage. Get around back.
Very similar to the first map there. EU's finest opening with 2 rounds. Our damage replying with 1, but this is where EU's finest really just put their foot on the gas. They pushed forward and I throttled our damage out of the first map. Perhaps they will do the same. We'll see. See what these weapon placements are going to be. For our damage, a drop shot gets placed down. So that's the Locust exhibit side. We're going to see a drop shot placed, and that will just be backing up that first fight. We saw it in the game against Obey on the same map. And our damage were pretty good with that drop shot. It has to be said. On the opposite side, EU's finest, they also put that drop shot down as well, so both teams opting to mirror one another in terms of strategy as well. It looks very simple.
Chris now trying to put some shots down low, and it is going to come down with these drop shots, isn't it? Keeping an eye on Phelps. He's been very positive with all the power weapons he's had in his hands so far. 14-6, a bit more aggressive players out of him. There comes the drop shot. Is he going to find anything with it? Just a hit marker, actually, so Strikers has to back on down, but it is actually going to help Crimson's clean this one up. Phelps is going to find Strikers on the floor as well. This was looking like an EU's finest gunfight, but Cougar's just about got in there to clean up one. Crazed is going to find Physics as well, and these are just, in the end, EU's finest gunfight going in their favour, and they're going to get a hold of B because of it.
They are indeed, and honestly, it was a mediocre drop shot. We'll give it that, but the real crux was Crimson sat there. He was Cougars, hello, jumping into 3, trying to get the kill. Yeah, the Crimsons were just allowed just to lance it down onto this doorway, and even though the drop shot did not get the kill, it got enough damage that Crimson's Lancet Fire could come in and just drop that down.
It pushes them out as well. They have to go away from that because they know the drop shot's in play. That is a tough place to be if you're a dead. But well, it doesn't really matter if you're dead. Either way, the push has to now come in from RDamage, and it's just like shooting fish in a barrel. EU's Finest very, very well set up here. And if you're RDamage, what's the play? What is the play here? You have to win these gunfights down low, but look at how EU's Finest are set up. It's so difficult. You're basically relying on the drop shot potentially coming back up. I don't think we're anywhere near that. And look, the Lancer Fire coming through. Cougars is the only one to break back. He finds Jack Vex's strikers, cleans it up. Helps you now. He's going to have to wrap round to help his team out over towards A. They seem to be winning the gunfights without him, though. Hydrone finds one. Is he going to find the second? Read it. Finding 2 downs here. Cougars is actually going to find 2 kills as well. Albeit I think he was just cleaning those up. Chris, thankfully, for EU's Finest does answer back. But read it. Finding plenty here. A lot of good work with that Lancer Fire. But still, it is EU's Finest with a win condition.
Yeah, that they are. They're 80 points ahead here. They're doing all right. Nice. The bottom, Strikers. He picks up 2, actually, looking for his third as Jack, potentially the next victim, is the next victim. A beautiful back hay there. Picks up his 3rd in a row, and Strikers showing a little bit of magic here, just a little bit. He is one of the players that is, you know, he's known across Europe, he's known across the global scene as well, as being one of the players of this RDamage roster that can really, really make a difference, really fight at that top level.
They got to go for A here. They got to decap it. If they do, that should be enough, and it will be enough, but they may just go for the domination here. EU's Finest have to fight through. They have to do it quickly. Cougars picks up the drop shot. That might help them on the other side of things. The domination, you feel as if it's going to come through here. Phelpsy takes down 1, though, and if they can cap this, I think... Is it going to be enough for EU's Finest to win it? Yes, it will. 20 seconds to go. They're getting aggressive as well. Cougars has messed up that drop shot a little bit. Phelpsy trying to get in there, and it's 2v1 down low. The drop shot comes through. Physics is going to find one into Phelpsy. Swarm should now win it. And they will go on to win it. EU's Finest just about grind that one out. But better from RDamage, it has to be said. But still, it comes down to those final few kills, and they just can't quite get it done.
Yeah, and if you look back on that fight, we called up perhaps the domination maybe coming in. Realistically, all they had to do was just delay. If they delayed 5 more seconds on that fight, they could have just gone all back to their home hill, defended the home hill with that drop shot, and they may have been able to hold on to that round there. The fact that they didn't get those extra 5 seconds, the fact that they died on that pillar trying to get the one shot as EU's Finest slid right into their corner. They died for it. They got taken out. They gave EU's Finest that hill a little bit ahead of time, and in the end, that was all the time that EU's Finest needed to take that round, to take that victory.
Nothing crazy coming in here, just the drop shots chopped in half. So they will be coming up a lot more readily available throughout this round. Throughout the rest of the game as well. Craze now. Just spectating Phelpsy find Strikers there with the drop shot. So he is going to push through, he's going to get aggressive, he is going to spot 2 towards Aquarium. Oh, and he just gets a little bit unlucky, but unlucky in the respect that Physics is going to find Zorkos. Physics is, he's not been fantastic with this drop shot on this map, I will be honest.
We said that last week.
Yeah. But the thing is that it's very close quarters, especially in and around these bottom tunnels area, in and around Shark, in and around this sort of area next to Reaver as well. It's so difficult to land them cleanly.
Yes.
They can maybe always be those casualties that you don't really want.
It's true, it is very difficult, but then, you know, I asked the question of, okay, if it is that difficult and you can't make that shot...
Don't hit it.
Exactly. Get out your pistol, use the right weapon in the situation, move the drop shot somewhere else where you can hit a shot perhaps. Just backpack it for that time being. You might be better off just getting some pistol shots down on your opposition rather than, you know, that one-shot explosive. Reader up top, he's just going to fall down actually in the 1v1. So that's going to make things hella tough here for RDamage. Well, Cougars, he's going to be the one to try and make the play, but Lancer's coming from
he's done well to stay alive. Oh, he eventually does go down. He did so well to survive as long as he did.
No one can question his movement.
No, nobody can question his movement, but people will question RDamage's game plan here. 4-1 now to EU's Finest. And again, it just comes down to the slaying ability. EU's Finest above and beyond here. And I think what we've seen, albeit we didn't see much from Rated R this week, what we seen from them last week was fighting fire with fire against EU's Finest, getting aggressive, winning these gunfights. That's how they beat them.
Yes.
Whereas RDamage seem to be playing maybe a little bit of a slower game here, trying to get something done and trying to outmaneuver and out-rotate EU's Finest, and it's not working. It is not working. Oh,
no.
pardon me.
Excuse you.
Yeah, no. It's that catering we had beforehand, mate.
Yeah, well,
Sorted you out, didn't I?
it is. It's nice. Yeah, it's good food. It's all good.
Keep talking about the
Keeps
food.
us, keeps us
Oh,
going.
yeah, we're going to interest you somehow, guys. This has been a drubbing so far for EU's finest.
Let's have a look at this.
I mean, they're just running a Lancer Fire at this point. You said EU's finest have got the setups fantastically here. Every single time with these crossfires, every single time they have the position they need to. Cougar's now in a world of pain. He goes down as well. EU's finest will set up shop here.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's just clinic. That's all it is. It's a clinic from EU's finest on how to play Exhibit. They are taking the fights. They are putting themselves in position. They're even winning the up top fight. They're making room up there. And what I like to kind of look at that up top fight as being like is if you go back a few years. Let's go back all the way to Ultimate Edition, and we go back to War Machine. War Machine up top, Phelps' bread and butter, where he made his name, was a 1v1 fight, and all he did was just fight and maneuver people around, move people around the map, so he could get the cross for his team, he could make plays for his team. And we're seeing that again from EU's finest. They're kind of going back to that style where this up top work, this play, is doing fantastic work. Albeit it's not him this time around. It's Crimson's up there. It's still the same scenario. It's still the same situation. They're manipulating RDamage. They're moving them around the map. And from that up top position, you're dictating a lot of the play. That's what I like to see. It's definitely good for EU's finest.
They're constantly in control.
Yes.
You don't feel otherwise at any point in any of the rounds. 5-1 up at the half. As the lives and respawns, I should say, sorry, do reset. But the points do not move on Exhibit. And if you're an EU's finest fan, you will be more than happy at that. They've pretty much dominated here. They need 2 more rounds to make it 7-1, 7-1. I wouldn't put it past them, honestly. The way that they've been playing here. RDamage. I mean, EU's finest are asking the questions every single time. RDamage just don't have the answer.
They don't. They don't at all. Physics, he's trying to find it, to be honest with you. He really is. He's doing a bit better in terms of score this time around. More eliminations at this point in the game than they did in the previous map, so that's an improvement. It's good to see. Whether or not it is enough, that's another question, really. That miss roll is definitely not the best idea.
Nope. Not went well. It's not went well across the board as 3 members of RDamage do go down. Make that number 4. Swarm will dominate in 3, 2, 1, and you just feel as if the life is being drained out of RDamage here. 6-1 now. And they're not winning on any point of the map. That's the problem. Maybe, you know, if you lose a couple of gunfights in the mid-map, but you're winning the one up top, then you can maybe extend it, you can lengthen the round out and give yourself another chance. But it's not there. There is nothing, there is no shining light, there's no facet of their game that they are winning here against the EU's finest that's even giving me a glimmer of hope for them.
This is where it gets difficult, and it's difficult to suggest an answer as well.
Yeah, you can't say, well, play something in mid and let's just try and play around that, because you've been losing the fights.
The one thing you can possibly do is play something huge up top on the top mid bridge, because then you force a little bit more attention up there. Perhaps that changes the play downstairs a bit. Perhaps. That said, though, you know, it has to be a boom shot, and what they can do in return is when the drop shots are not blocked out, they can just focus the drop shot up there, and realistically, you're back to square one again. It's difficult, and this is the situation with the map. The ring's not changing. Is that it doesn't force plays different types of play from the teams, right? It kind of keeps things very, very similar, and it depends on the teams to make that difference. Much different to Vaskar, actually. Completely the opposite way around to Vaskar, how that works.
Zorkos is going to go down. It's been a bit of an even fight down low for one of the first times. I want to say an even fight. It's been changed, and it's been absolutely flipped on its head instantly. Striker's now the last one alive. He is actually going to find the jib onto Kreis, though. He will go down. That might just be the only saving grace here for RDamage, is the fact that there's only 4 members of EU's finest flying at them. As the respawns do come back up, they will respawn quicker as we do move on into these rounds. But DNA in control of EU's finest. They're looking for the 7-1 once again. They won first map very convincingly. Looking like they're going to do this again, unless RDamage can just have the biggest comeback that we've ever seen so far in the EU Pro League. Can they mount a challenge here? It's not feeling like it's going to happen. It's Jack Vex finds Zorkos. The win condition comes up for the Swarm side on EU's finest. 71 seconds. That E-Hill is going to be decapped. But look at the kill feed.
All red, right?
It's all red. Strikers is the only one up. They will leave E to be capped by 1, and they will make their way towards F. Zorkos now, with the help of Strikers, is going to have to try and defend F. He has put himself in a good position, but EU's Finest will just close the gap. They just take up so much real estate in the map to say, right, where are you going? The only saving grace for RDamage here is the fact that they have actually captured D. It's a good capture by Strikers. These gunfights, though, are being won once again by EU's Finest. Physics is going to win one at the Crimsons, though, so this is a little bit better. Jack finds 2, though, over towards the home hill of RDamage. Zorkos just trying to bat him away, but in the end, it is actually going to be RDamage who sort of just about win out on this trade. But look at the score. It's very, very close. RDamage could get another round here. It's a good win by Zorkos, and they may have just given themselves a glimmer of hope in this round at least.
Yeah, and that was all due to the extension there. One of the players...
Strikers, I think.
RDamage, yeah, he managed to make it onto the EU's Finest home hill, which, I mean, it really did help them out there. Just diverting attention away. Let's have a look what EU's Finest are doing up top. Looks like this F hill is going to be the next hill under contention. The flashes go down. We see a 2v1 situation here. Cougars, he manages to pick one. Isn't going to be able to pick it up. That second one, Zorkos is going to come in for a little bit of a help. Zorkos has to fly at this now, but Phelpsy, he takes him out. And it is going to be the COG domination in just 15 seconds. Let's see if Phelpsy can do anything about it. I'm not sure if they are going to be able to. See Phelpsy, he's looking at the E hill now.
They just have to decap it. Strikers is there. He has to go massive. He's caught Phelpsy with his pants down. The aggression comes in. This should be a round for RDamage here. It's looking like it is. Oh no, Swamp. They could still win. They could potentially still win this here.
Big fight here on E.
But it's over towards F. That's the problem, is there. COG will eliminate. EU's Finest will not spawn back in. RDamage do one step better than they did in the last map, at least.
Yep.
They get a second round on the board. It came down to the finest of margins. And really good work by Strikers towards the end there. He held that mid-hill to just seal the deal for his team. 6-2 now.
6-2 it is. Let's have a look at these weapon placements. This could be big, right? This could be the weapon placement that either seals EU's Finest victory here. The Markser is going to be placed down there for RDamage.
On the side of things for EU's Finest, we're expecting the mirror to come through. Do you think? Something different?
Potentially something different. I was going to say,
okay.
I was going to say potentially the incendiaries, but quite honestly,
do you know? Do you think it matters?
I don't really. No. I think either weapon could have gone down. I think the incendiaries just make a little bit more sense in this bottom fight. It's you know, it's not training grounds-esque or icebound-esque. You want to cut off routes here, and the incendiaries can do just that.
It's them small choke points, and they really can. Like a shock grenade. It's that similar sort of scenario, isn't it? Like this. Perfect place to put it in. Very, very difficult. Now Cougars is drained away from this fight, although Zorkos maybe doesn't need it. Cougars is going to help him out with the Markser in that situation. So, in that specific situation, the Markser works out. And they will get a hold of the mid-hill, get a hold of E. Phelpsy's going to find one with the drop shot, though, just trying to stop this aggression coming out of RDamage down this side. COG actually going to dominate. They win the fight over towards F. This is looking like another RDamage round. They are just going to back off, though. They know they're in a good spot here. They can just regain these numbers and go to fight Hydron with a couple of players instead of just one-on-one. You never want to try and do that. EU's Finest just trying to hold on to this round here. RDamage getting aggressive where they need to. They win the gunfights where they need to. This is going to be a domination. It's going to be another round, you feel. Obviously, may get in, he may not. It does not matter. 6-3 now. 2 rounds in a row from RDamage. A little bit of life, thankfully, through.
A little bit of life, and I think that stemmed from a little bit of a misplaced incendiary, to be honest with you. It didn't really cut off anything.
It cut off one of the players, but the fact is that he had the Markser, so he was just sitting there and he was like, well, I don't really need to be in that fight.
It cut off one of the players, and you know, if he had the Markser, if he had the Lancer, he could still support, and that was his role there, was to sit on that cover, was to support that player fighting that 1v1. If perhaps both players from EU's Finest had pushed down to try and take that fight, perhaps they could have just shoulder-to-shouldered it, pick up the down if they get down by that Markser, get back up on the feet, and maybe take that 2v1 on the shotguns. But honestly, it's a matter of centimeters, and in this case, that was in the favor of RDamage. Just looking at that drop shot there, just got caught out on the display a little bit of a misfire there from Phelpsy. But he is going to be behind RDamage now. Gets a big shot on on Physics, sorry. Physics, though, is going to take up this kill. He's going to get the second kill as well on Craze. Gets flashed out. No worries though, he's got teammates in tow to help him out. That's Cougars.
Cougars actually gets a kill with the boom shot as well. So that is wasted away. Either way though, RDamage will be happy for it. They find a couple of kills. EU's Finest respawning back up now. Physics, a good drop shot down low. A lot more like it. It's a signed seal delivered kill. You know, you're in a spot. He's on his own. Just hit the shot and we're good.
That's it. And
Sits him down. And he definitely hit it. Really nice shots there through the mid-map. And now it's up to RDamage. Just try and hold this one. If they do so, they will put themselves within 2. So EU's Finest now have to do something. It's been a bit harder for them in the past few rounds. Can they get something going here? Strikers are going to find 2. Jack is going to be able to take down Cougars, but that is just about it. And that's nearly everybody down. Crimsons and Crays left alive. They're going to have to back on up over towards D, which has already been decapped. And it's looking like RDamage should be able to close this one out. Physics is going to find Crimsons and find Crays. The kills come through. This should be a domination coming through for RDamage. It will be a domination coming through for RDamage. Phelpsy just spoiling the party, albeit only momentarily. RDamage put was within 2 now. A little bit more interesting as they find 3 rounds in a row.
Oh man, I mean, this is the only thing we've not seen in this pro league so far is a huge comeback. Well,
yeah,
I'm not counting RDamage to be doing it just yet. But it would be like this league.
There's potential, a small amount of potential. EU's Finest, since these other power weapons have come into play, have slowed down just a little bit. Maybe, you know, if you RDamage, you're using them a little bit better, and it's making a difference. So the boom shot is going to be halved on one side of things. It's probably going to be exact same for EU's Finest. It is indeed the case. So a lot of power weapons on display now, and so far, it's suited RDamage, surprisingly.
It is. It is suiting RDamage indeed, and well, let's see how things kick off. Sorry, kick off on this this round. Losing my voice a little bit there. As we head into this open fight.
Speechless, Alex. Speechless at this RDamage comeback. How has it happened after how EU's Finest have been playing? It was looking like it was going to be a pretty dominating 2 maps for them. Now things are a little bit closer. Very much so. EU's Finest game to lose still. But RDamage are asking questions now. They really have not been at the races up until, well, maybe the past 3 rounds, to be honest with you. It's been all EU's Finest. There come the kills. It's going to be a trade of drop shots coming through. Strikers are going to sponge the boom, and he's going to manage to break on through as well. He's going to be dropped by Hydrone eventually. But there you go. It just about goes in the favor of EU's Finest in the end anyway. But RDamage had a glimmer there. But he will go over towards EU's Finest. Hydrone now very, very weak. Does not want to make this push over towards Reader, who has not necessarily had the same effect as he did last week in their game against OB. Good shots by Hydrone. Finds Cougars in the middle of the corridor here and will take him down. Will get aggressive as well. Reader having to back on up. A couple of members of EU's Finest flying towards him. Maybe a little bit aggressive from Hydrone there. He's shaking the head there, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, he has teammates in tow, but
you know what? He's actually got away with it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If
Zorkos.
If Zorkos had been able to come around and help there, then it would have been horrendous for EU's Finest, because they would have lost 2 people. But in the end, Zorkos didn't react quite quick enough. He was already engaged with 2 players, so, you know, so be it. But yeah, it was pretty brazen, we'll put it that way.
Crimson's going to find 2 with the drop shot here, and the only reason this round is not over is because RDamage managed to get a capture over towards the other side of the home hill, so EU's Finest have to regain and regroup.
Gotta watch out here, the drop shot may come in.
Oh, it's not going to quite get there though. Zorkos is going to find Crimsons anyway. Strikers is going to find Hydrone, and if you are EU's Finest, you back on up. You still have the win condition here. You don't need necessarily close this out any sooner. Pistol shots coming through as Cougars is going to down Phelpsy, and he will be able to clean this one up, you feel. Cray's going to back up. Zorkos takes down Jackvex as well. Good position for RDamage here. This could be 6-5. Physics is going to take down Crazed. Strikers are going to clean this one up, and they get aggressive as well.
The thing is that they've got to be so quick to react on these kills, though, because there is only that 10 seconds on that respawn. It has to be instantaneous. The reaction, the movement, it has to be perfect. And although it's good,
back it up.
Although it's good, it was a little bit too slow, and then they came off spawn. They couldn't really afford to go and get this. They should have just held that E-hill. They should have picked up the power weapons. Yeah. And they should have gone back.
And that was Physics' last life, and he got so aggressive towards it. If you're Physics there, you just try and back it up at least.
Yep.
You've got 2 points.
Well, it was literally as the power weapons were spawning up, they pushed in. And that's a misplay on RDamage. That's a missed opportunity on RDamage's part.
Well, they will now lose E. They're in a 4v5 situation to stay in this game. It has to be a big play with a power weapon. It has to be.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
it's
dead.
so difficult to jump down there. You can't really get down there. We did see strikers get taken out in the end as well. And, well, here we go. It looks like EU's Finest are going to lock in their first victory here in the European Pro League. They're going to take down RDamage 7-4 here on Exhibit. And, well, they look pretty strong doing it.
Back to winning ways if you are EU's Finest. And a good performance out of them in the end. It got a little bit shaky towards the end, let's be honest with ourselves, but it was a lot better. It was a lot better from them in the end. I think, realistically, we've seen better play out of them in general.
Yeah.
We've seen them slaying around where they needed to as well.
Yeah.
Not at any moment, even in that RDamage comeback, did you actually expect them to do it? That was the thing. For all that, if the RDamage fans at home will be sitting there thinking, they nearly did it, but did they? Not quite.
They didn't. What they may have done is they may have skewed the standings a little bit with those rounds for and against.
Yeah, possibly.
So they may have just kept themselves slightly above. I don't know. I think we're going to have to wait for someone else with the stats to come in later on.
Matt is frantically trying to get them ready.
I'm not even saying Matt. I'm just saying somewhere later down the line we'll look at that, because that's not a question for right now. What I did see there is a little bit of resilience from RDamage. They came in. They did look better in that second half with more weapons on the map, which is kind of something that is interesting to me, is that they were finding it more difficult when there was less variables to worry about. Which is
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange.
But it's maybe just EU's Finest playing the basics a lot better.
Yeah, and also with that boom shot, with on those quicker cooldowns on that drop shot, it is easier to get more kills with them, right? It's not the same question being asked. It's not, can you slay face to face? It's, can you pick up those shots from a distance, which is a little bit easier, I guess, against EU's Finest on fire.
EU's Finest looking a lot better. This is how they did it, though. A very, very comfortable win in the end. Convincing, if anything, on map number 1 with a 7-1 victory on Asylum, 7-4 on Exhibit. And they were well and truly in the lead all the way through this one, and a very, very comfortable victory in the end. RDamage threatened to come back. That's all it was. It was just a threat, it was just a, we might do it. Yeah. But in the end, EU's Finest prevailing, and a bit more like it from them. As said, they were strong on every single level, and a convincing victory. But honestly, we expected them to get back to winning ways.
Yeah.
The story of the night is not EU's Finest coming back into this one. It is Obey Alliance beating Rated R in a fantastic Series number 1. If you arrive late, go back and watch the VOD. We'll have it uploaded tonight, tomorrow morning. It'll be soon. Watch it back. What a series that was. Definitely the best of the EU Pro League so far. Let's have a look at the standings as they are after week number 2. Obey Alliance sitting at the top. Everybody, 1 win, 1 loss, but based on rounds. And I'm presuming it's games against as well. I don't know.
This is what I'm saying.
We'll figure it out. Either way, they've all got 1 win and 1 loss. It'll change as time goes on.
All 2-0s as well, right? It's been that big of a swing. We've not seen a 2-1 just yet. Teams winning 2-0 last week, losing 2-0 this week. I think it's great for European gears. It's basically even, and now we're 2 weeks in, and still teams are basically even.
What a week 2 it's been, in all honesty. Thank you for joining me once again through.
Pleasure.
This week was... I don't think it really answered any questions. I think it's made things more confusing, because I honestly, last week we were sitting here and we were like, wow, are EU's Finest? Are they finally going to be dethroned by Rated R?
Yep.
Rated R looks so good. And then Obey Alliance, the team that lost against RDamage last week, RDamage who qualified through the ladder, have now just beat Rated R, and all the teams are 1-1. I mean, honestly, I want to listen to Guy on Gears Unlimited try and break this one down, because I'm struggling. Fru is struggling.
I don't know what's going on.
The only thing we're not struggling for is good games. It's been fantastic. It's been so entertaining. Some fantastic gears played between these teams. You don't want to miss week number 3. You have to come back. We'll see you next Monday.